So up next, we are going to have the Chogas present on quality time.
All right. Thank you, Sister Tinda. Can everyone hear us clearly?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Perfect. I'm going to be touching on the first part of just what quality time is, and then my wife will speak towards the end on some actionable things or ideas on what we can do to sort of nurture this love language. So I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to actually speak about quality time because when we started going through the book, Michelle and I just looked at we sort of like skimmed through all the love languages and wrote down what we thought, um, what our I guess dominant love language is, or our primary love language. And for me, that was quality time. And when we took the survey that I think Alice circulated around on the group, um, it also confirmed, after I made, my choices, that quality time was actually at the top. So, by definition, right, we're essentially talking about quality time as a way of giving undivided attention to your spouse, thereby nurturing and a feeling of togetherness. Um, so for me, really, I think it's just the quality conversations, talking and listening to each other, spending time with each other in prayer, um, as well as just like just the meaningful. They can be meaningful activities that you can do, which may not necessarily be maybe just like watching TV and not talking, but it might be like game night, or it might be a date night. um, but some of those activities, for me personally, mean a lot because I know if I'm spending time with my wife, that is just the two of us. And we may be talking about, some stories of when we were kids may come up, or some random thing from the past that might come. And it allows me at least to learn more in an intimate environment, for me to get to know my wife better and for her to know me. Um, so with that, it's if you don't know what your if you don't know that your primary love language is quality time, there are some attributes or characteristics that you can use to identify that, apart from just taking the survey. You usually come off as an excellent listener, or you always give others your undivided attention. You aren't susceptible to distractions, right? So in this world of like technology and all these things that are going on, it's very easy for you to lose focus when someone is talking to you. But generally, if your primary love language is quality time, you tend to be more focused. You tend to want to do one thing at a time. Um, and I think when I was going through this chapter, it spoke a lot about things that I thought about myself and kind of confirmed that. So if you tend to also prefer not to be alone and to think of most activities as fun. So for example, I like barbecuing, and I think the folks that are really close to me um, and know that as well. But if I'm having a barbecue by myself, for me that's sad. But if right now during the quarantine that we're going through, for me an ideal weekend is getting out the grill, spending time with my wife. I'll be making dinner for the family. Just that time for me, means a lot because it's somewhat like a break from the stresses of the week. And you always make time for your loved ones even if you're not physically with them. And again, I think the current pandemic that we're going through has kind of highlighted the fact that though we may be in different places, my brother lives in Virginia. Would regularly meet on big holidays, but right now we can't do that, or we can't go there when we want to. And so we try to make time to just get on a VC, and just talk and just catch up. And we've tried to do that with some other couples as well. So for me, that helps me, that despite the fact that we may not necessarily be able to see people physically, that we are still connected in a way. And if your primary love language is quality time, you know that you enjoy sharing new experiences with others more than receiving physical gifts. So with this one, I won't give an example because my wife probably has one to share later. But what are some of the actions? What are some of the actions that if your spouse's primary language is quality time, how do you know? And what are some of the actions that you can use to identify that, right? So a lot of times, I think it's when you know that your spouse, when you're talking to each other, just if you sort of like see that they're irritable when you interrupt them, when you're talking, that might potentially kind of give you some type of a hint. Not in in many cases, and I think I do this a lot when I try to offer advice when my advice is not really needed. It's very easy to interrupt someone when they are sharing or
Amen.
when they're sharing something. And despite the fact that even if your wife's or spouse's primary love language is quality time, just give them. Sometimes people just want to vent, um, and so it's more of an art rather than a science. So I'm sure I've gotten this wrong so many times, but I'll keep trying to be better. Um, and the other thing as well is listen to what the other is saying before you respond, right? And being willing to share your feelings and wishes and dreams. um I think a lot of times I tend to look at everyone. Everyone on this call came from a different country, or if you are from the US, you've taken certain risks, you've done certain things because you're motivated by dreams. And I think as you spend time with your significant other, with your spouse, it's also good to share what some of those dreams are. And in a way, right, like as you're spending your quality time together, you'd be able to like come up with some of these in some cases maybe like a personal dream, but in some cases might actually become a dream for the family. So just sharing those feelings as you're spending time can actually make those moments more meaningful. So being deliberate with your time, and being mentally present. And I think I briefly touched on this earlier, but I think in this day and age where obviously I'm a technologist by training, but I have a love-hate relationship with technology. I think it has brought a lot of good, but also there's a lot of challenges that it comes along with. So, I'll just kind of talk about, say, social media or gadgets, right? Um, it's easy. There was one time when we were in Mexico on vacation, and we saw a couple that was sitting right across from us. I think right now, me and my wife, I don't know, it's like we like to talk to each other, and we try to make sure that we don't have any distractions, because that shows some type of respect. But there was a couple, an older couple, that was sitting right across us, and they had phones. They were sitting right across from each other, and they were having a meal, but for the whole meal, they were just on their phones. So I couldn't help but notice, because I was just like, this is very unusual. And I made a comment to my wife. And with that, I think it's just like, if you then get to a point where, you are on vacation, but you're actually on your phone, I think it defeats the whole purpose of actually taking that time out with your significant other. And if your spouse's primary love language is quality time, that will definitely not be doing any good service if you are distracted. So I'm going to hand it over to my wife, who's going to talk about some like specific things that we kind of discussed, just some ideas on how to fill your spouse's love tank if their primary love language is quality time. So over to you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Munya, for sharing. So yeah, we definitely enjoyed this chapter. Like Munya said, this is his primary love language, and for a very long time, because I mean, gift is not my primary love language, but I do love things. So I used to think that, because I love things, he would love things too. So I go shopping and I find myself in the men's aisle. I pick up a few things for him. I come home, I'm like, babe, I got you this. And he would be like, oh, yeah, thanks. So I remember a particular time I bought him like a couple of things that I knew he might be happy to have. The guy spent a whole week without opening the bag. And I was so upset. I was like, wait a minute. You should be happy I got you gifts. And he opened them. He was like, "Oh, thank you." He really didn't care, honestly. He loved the things I got him, but for him, that's not something that fills his love tank. So through reading this book, I was like, wait a minute, now I get it. When I take him out, when I like introduce a new experience for him, like, oh, yeah, we're going wine tasting, these are the things that he enjoys because we're spending time together. We're having conversations. So I really enjoyed, this book. And so maybe for me now, since my husband enjoys quality time, I mean, we all do, but for him, that's like the number one thing on his list. We were just thinking about some ideas of, how to fill your quality time spouse love tank. The book does have at the end of the chapter, I think, page 71, for those who read the book or those who are planning to buy the book. It does have a few examples or ideas, but we just thought of our own. So number one, go out and about. You don't have to spend money. Go out and about, take a walk around your neighborhood, go for a drive, invite your partner on some errands. Hey, if you're going out to get, I don't know, milk for the house, you're going out to get dog food for those who have pets, go with your spouse. Go into the car, don't go with your phone. I mean, have your phone on you, but don't be on your phone when your spouse is driving. Because remember, quality time to them means just you being there, being present. Because I mean, I used to make that mistake. If we're in the car, I would be on my phone because I'd be like, well, he's driving. He doesn't need me to be doing anything. But now I know better. Then around the house, acts of service, do something together, prepare a new recipe, go into the garden, plant something new, buy a plant, make that your baby. For those who don't have kids yet, like us, we have a bunch of babies in the house. Our plants, enjoy activities together. Bust out a puzzle, learn to play a new board game. I mean, there are a lot of board games in the US. I mean, for those who have not been here for a very long time, when you then go for game night with other couples, they are playing Yahtzee or whatever, and then you're like, what is this? So, I mean, take that time to enjoy quality time together, learn new games, learn new skills, and remember you're spending time together. And another thing is get active, quarantine, lockdown, and all that. We're not doing much, we are sitting on our desk all day for those who are working from home, or we are just snapping for those who don't have to work from home. Get active, raise your heart rates by working out together or engage in a number of physical activities, once lockdown is up, of course, go bowling, go hiking, go golfing. These are the things you see, you're spending time together, you're building memories, and you're enjoying each other as well in the process. So, like, as you see already, I didn't talk about spending money. You're literally doing things that you would normally be doing, but doing them together and being connected in the process. Take quick trips. Trips are amazing, right? But it doesn't have to be like a big trip. You're going to Europe, you're going to Mexico or whatever. You can take a quick trip. For us, we stay in Pennsylvania. Um, Taking a trip means going to Delaware, you know, going to New Jersey, going to New York, somewhere close where you can maybe drive an hour or two or get on a train, whatever. But like take short trips, right? And spend time together, go camping, take a road trip, visit a local amusement park, all these activities. I'm going to say this because I know this call has primarily Black people. A lot of times we are like, oh, these activities are not for us, they're for white people. No, just take time and go and explore some of these activities. You will be shocked on how you will start enjoying yourself better. I mean, even if there are things that you missed in your childhood, you know, go for that. Go karting. I don't care if there are kids around. If there's something I've never done, I'm going with him. So trying new things and spend time together. And the other thing is you can also plan events and vacations, once every 2 years, once a year, take some time out of the country or maybe the state for maybe 2, 3 days. If it's obviously out of the state, but if it's out of the country, take a big vacation. All that money we're busy saving, we're gonna die one day, it's gonna stay behind. And those who remain are going to chow it. So maybe we should try and save the money we have, take vacations, enjoy each other, and even throwing parties. I love parties. I love having people over at our house, and I love going to people's houses. That's quality time as well. You can be spending with your husband and your loved ones as well, and filling each other's tanks. And then the last two is maybe schedule regular date nights. This is important. When you're a girlfriend and boyfriend, you go out a lot, right? Because you don't live together, you're trying to see each other as much as possible. And then people get married, then people stop dating. That is the worst mistake you are doing if anyone is doing that. Let's plan regular date nights. And like I said before, it doesn't have to be money spent going to some Michelin restaurant where you get a little piece of meat for $50. No, it has to be, even if you go for tacos, I don't know, like at a food truck, but tell yourselves it's date night. Dress up, both of you. To all the men on the call, it's not just us who have to dress up for date night.
Mhm.
I make him dress up and now he enjoys it. Dress up and don't dress up for people's
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, so dress up, the two of you, go out, enjoy each other, put on makeup, I don't know, whatever, but just do things to enjoy each other, because at the end of the day, we wake up every day, go to work to get money or whatever, and we don't spend it on each other. That does not make sense. So keep on dating and make this a point that you make time for each other. And again, you're filling your partner's love tank in the process. And then the last one is engage in quality conversation. So with quality time, it's a tricky one. It's not about just talking like, oh, hi, how you doing? How was your day? It's really about getting deep into the conversation. Get in the habit of telling your partner what's on your mind and asking them about what's going on in their life. You will be surprised the things that they will tell you that on the surface they probably don't show. What I try to do, like Munya was saying, is when we're taking trips, long trips, or even like maybe going to the store, if it's more than like 15 minutes, I usually take out my phone and I just, look up questions to ask your friend, questions to ask your husband. And I mean, some of them are silly, of course, but some of them, they have they're interesting, and they open up deep conversations. You get to know each other on a deeper level. For most people, partner, when maybe you didn't know them before then, and there's a whole lot that happened that shaped them into who they are today. So by engaging in quality conversations, you will pick up some of the things, and that will make you understand their behavior, or how they act towards you, or how they react to certain things. And that's important. And again, in the process, you're having quality time together, getting to know each other on a deeper level. And Munya mentioned this before: stay away from smartphones, stay away from devices, stay away from gaming, for those who love gaming, stay away from that if you're trying to enjoy each other and trying to engage in quality conversations. So yeah, those are just some of the ideas we had around, spending quality time together and feeling your partner whose primary love language is quality times, love tank. And at the end of the day, really, the important thing, the reaction to all this is you're enjoying each other, right? And building intimacy through deeply sharing and knowing each other. We all left our mothers and our fathers' houses to be together. What's the point of not spending enough time together and wishing that you were somewhere else when you have a whole human being next to you who you can enjoy, who you can have quality time with? So, yeah, I mean, for us, we just hope that in as much as not all of us, quality time is not a primary language, that we try as much as possible to spend enough time together, get to know each other, enjoy each other. In that way, we will understand, even like that question that was being asked, how do you know when someone's gifts preferences have changed? If you're spending enough time together, it's so easy to just be sitting and say, hey, do you still like this? Because I mean, it's just a conversation, right? So yeah, if people have questions or comments, we'll be happy to answer if we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Stover. For sure, our quality time tank is full. Thank you for all the ideas and any comments and any questions. If we can go fast because we are slightly behind time. Any comments?
Yeah, I'll start. Thank you for the beautiful presentation. First of all, I would just like to say, please, I think you can replace the plants. I think I'm waiting for my nephews and nieces, as children. A quick comment here is that I think on quality time is one of those instances where multitasking is bad. I think one of the major takeaways is that we should give our spouses undivided attention. It just happens to be my wife's, chief. She speaks all the languages, by the way, but this one is the is the chief one. She has been smiling throughout this presentation. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you again, Mrs. Choga. Any comments? Any more comments?
Yeah, we'll give a comment.
Yes, go ahead. Is it Farai?
Yeah, it's Brother Farai.
Go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Brother Munya and Sis Michelle. On the topic of quality time, I think like it's also important to remember that, like when it comes to languages, there's also like different accents, there's different dialects to a language. So I think one of the problems that a lot of people might actually encounter is that, quality time is one of those, I think I would say somewhat common languages, and how perceive it, it could be different, from one partner to the other. For instance, like the English language. If you just drive a few miles down, like down south, you go to Virginia, the way they speak the same language is completely different to how they speak it in New York. And when you're doing things, as a couple, I think you should always acknowledge that, like how you feel quality time should be is not necessarily how your wife or your husband would feel it should be. So in as much as, you could go through the book and stuff like that. Just remember, yeah, that's not the end. You still have to go dig in there and find out more. All right, that's it for me.
Thank you, Brother Farai. Any more?